Yes.
Great, thank you. So I have a few comments for this. I will acknowledge what appears to be an attack first. I had an opportunity to listen to the minutes from the meeting in which the Newcastle Hall Board air conditioning was debated, and I'm actually kind of glad I couldn't be here in person because it was very disappointing. I think as somebody who's been a proud member of the Tyrone Community Hall Board for 13 years, it is so rewarding to see how hard these board members work and how much good they do for the community. At the very least, I think what we can do, given that I would argue the Newcastle Community Hall is a real asset and something that perhaps even down the road we may even want to consider taking over and programming because it is such an important space. I think the least we could have done is debenture finance the full cost. In turn, having that money available without asking them to fundraise $300,000. And, I know how difficult it's been for Tyrone to fundraise. I can only imagine asking a community hall board of only 5 members to try to come up with 300 grand. I just don't see it being very sensible or reasonable to happen. So I'm sorry my motion didn't get a second today, but I will revisit the issue perhaps next year after the board has had an opportunity to help them out if they're unable to come up with that funding. So moving on, I won't be supporting this budget. I think a more measured approach would have required maintaining a consistent approach and not exercising the strong mayor powers. I will note that I believe Chatham-Kent went into 3 days of deliberations. With that said, not receiving seconds today definitely expedited proceedings quite a bit. I would have much preferred to see a year-by-year budget so that we can accurately respond to changing realities. As we all know, with COVID and with interest rates and the housing crisis and with the province taking things in and out of the Greenbelt, I don't think it made sense to try to budget for 4 years from now. I think 1 year makes sense when people are struggling to put food on the table. We look at what 1% is, and we look at how much this is deeply going to affect residents. 4% per year here is more like 5.5 or 6% when you factor in the assessment growth and you look at how much we are spending. Our municipality is going to be spending 4% more than last year, plus whatever we receive as new taxes. We call this assessment growth. I spoke to our director of finance who advised me that currently the placeholder is 1.5% for assessment growth, but it may be more. In that case, we're actually looking at an increase in spending of over 6%, and that is over last year. Now you want to commit residents to do this every year for 4 years? I also was shocked to find out that the regional increase was 7.25%, plus 2.5% for DRPS, for a total of 9.75%. In addition to our own increase, I think this is unacceptable. I won't be supporting this budget. I am disappointed, finally, by the fact that we have undertaken a public consultation for our recreational and culture and parks plan. However, at the same time, council's already supported to spend $67 million on a recreational plan without having heard from residents first. To me, this just doesn't make any sense. Why would we commit $67 million of spending taxpayers' money ultimately, because they're the ones who are ultimately footing the bill, whether we debenture finance or not, this is still a public project. Why wouldn't we wait to hear from them first? I mean, I'm curious to see what's going to come out of this process. If the public overwhelmingly says they don't want to see an indoor walking track or an indoor multi-use field, are we suddenly going to cancel it and build what they want? We'll have to find out. Anyway, I'd like to ask for a recorded vote on this budget. And I do hope that next year we will get an opportunity to reopen this, reassess, and make decisions that make sense at the time.